No, let's see. And that one comes out. All right. Hello and welcome to another Practical IT live stream. This is something that I decided to do this morning before I went to work. So I've got a couple things to do tonight. And so what I really want to be covering tonight, in large part, is the release of Gnome 40. And so if you're not familiar with that, the previous version or current version of GNOME was 3.38. That's what's currently available in Ubuntu 20.04 up through 21.04. But there is a brand new beta version of Fedora 34, I believe. And I've got that installed in a VM with GNOME 40, which is prior to the naming convention. Contrary to what the naming convention would suggest, it's the version that comes after 3.38. So GNOME 40 is out, and so I just want to poke around in it a little bit. And so I thought that's what we would do tonight. And I am going to go ahead and take myself off screen and throw this up full screen. And yeah, this is GNOME 40. I'm going to change the background right off the bat. Give you something a little bit more colorful to look at. And we'll go ahead and close that. So one of the big changes right off the bat is that when you open up activities, you've got your different workspaces here, large and in charge and in your face, and your menu has moved from the left side down to the bottom. You can open up applications from here. The launcher comes up from the bottom. Just to see what we've got on here currently. LibreOffice community. And what is our version number once this opens up? All right, so this is LibreOffice 7112. And so that's pretty, if it's not the current version, it's pretty doggone close. Okay, so right off the bat, the right-click menu on the desktop, you've got change backgrounds, display settings, and settings. And so if we go into settings, we get the master control panel settings app for the whole system. And, you know, that gives you all the standard stuff here. So just for grins, we'll go down to About. And so this is running a virtual box. I've assigned 8 gigs of RAM to it, 100 gig virtual hard drive. And this is running Wayland. It does show a 64-bit OS and GNOME version 40. So that's a little flaky there. Quit. Okay. Anyways, display settings we can look at, and again that jumps you into the settings app, and it jumps you right to display. 1920 by 1059. Yeah, that's in part due to VirtualBox and their stupid little bar down here at the bottom. See if we can quit that with Alt F4. It's great to know some of these old shortcuts. So we got Firefox, we've got Calendar, we've got Files, which I don't think is going to look much different in GNOME 40 here. As far as other locations, this is one of the checks I like to do. It does show up my NAS boxin and my Home Assistant box, which is great. I always like to see that. And important OS updates have been installed. That should have been done this morning. So going into settings here, one more time. I always like to see, since I've taken steps to make sure that my printers are supported by Linux, I always like to see if a new distribution will detect my printer. And so while this is going, I'm not really a big Fedora user. So, you know, I do test it out from time to time, but I generally like the apt package manager a little better and tend to use that a little more frequently. You either running Ubuntu or straight Debian. Okay, so enable third-party software repositories. Sure, let's enable those. And what do we have here? Installed one. I'm not sure what it added. Shouldn't be any updates at the moment because I ran that before I went to work this morning. And hopefully this will update here. And we can see what's happening. So while we're waiting, if you haven't taken time to do so previously, can't talk tonight. If you haven't taken the time to do so previously, take a moment now to go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon for notifications. All right, so they've got their little slideshow carousel up here with 3 highlighted applications. And of course, you come down here and we've got a normal set of categories. Doesn't seem like there's quite as many as there are on Ubuntu, but that's all right. I want to come up here and see a virtual box, remote box, virtual box, remote client for administering virtual box and its guests. Interesting. See what they've got for OBS versions. And it doesn't come up. Go back to Explore. Come down here to, let's see, probably audio and video. Sound Juicer, Brasero, Cheese. We've got all kinds of things in here. And I mean, if you've seen the installation of one piece of software, you've pretty much seen them all. This is really no different in this case. But it's nice to know that this is not so different from something like Ubuntu that you're not going to feel familiar. All right, so what else? So we've gone into software. We looked at files. Firefox. I mean, everybody's seen Firefox before, but we'll jump in here. I'm just going to bring up my other screen. Okay, so right, we've got Firefox. We can come down to help and about Firefox and version 86. So we're pretty current there. Okay, so according to omgubuntu.co.uk, features in GNOME 40. Workspaces are horizontal, which we have seen right here. So we've got ginormous workspaces. Dash is at the bottom of the screen. App launcher slides up from the bottom of the screen. Okay. You'll notice a lot of rounded corners in GNOME 40. So if we open software, you can see the rounded corners. I'm curious to see. And it does do window snapping. All right. So if you're using a touchpad, it's got new workspace gestures, which it paid tribute to the Mac, and they are very similar with the 3 fingers. So if you hit Super and Alt and do your mouse wheel, it will roll to your workspaces. Do Super Alt and up. And again, you will see workspaces. Super Alt down. And then Super Alt and then the left right arrows to move between workspaces. That's great. Nautilus, the file apps, learns a few new tricks in GNOME 40, including the ability to sort files by creation date. All right, the weather app. Where's weather? Weather. Not like that. Let's see, Michigan. Let's do that. All right, so Weather Tool is one of the best weather apps for the Linux desktop. Now it's even better. Totally revamped for GNOME 40 with a new design that displays more forecast information. All right, that's great. And let's see. Maps. Not an app that I've used the Gnome version of before, but hey, it's all good. And so yeah. Okay. So let's see. Where in Michigan are we? There's Lansing. And there's Eaton Rapids, where I work. Wait for that to update. And the city is actually a series of islands. Zoom in a little bit there. There's a marathon station. Okay, so let's come back this way. There's Quality Dairy. There's Mark's Place. Oops, wrong way. State Street. Well, there's City Hall. And there's a Gap. And right there's the library. That's where I work. So, okay. Maps application. Nothing terribly special there. I can close out weather. Come back over to the article. Okay, web, also known as Epiphany. And we got a little problem here, apparently. Web, also known as Epiphany, has a rebuilt tab bar. Web can also be configured to display search suggestions as you type. All right, that's fine. The software center that we've got open currently, Gnome software, sports, new update logic to reduce the amount of less important reminders, new features app carousel, does a job of highlighting software. That's great. It's got a compose key so you can do the special characters like trademark, degrees, copyright, other things like that. Software tweaks. Supposed to have an easier to use Wi-Fi function. All right, in GNOME 40, the About page now shows hardware vendor and hardware model number or name when available. And a lot of other behind-the-scenes changes. So, all right, not the most exciting release. There are some cosmetic changes, but it is still very much GNOME. I am interested to see what's going to happen when Pop! OS puts their spin on it. So that was supposed to shut down. All right, let's do power off, and we'll bring. Okay. All right. So let's do New workspace on the Mac. And we'll bring over Splash Top. Okay. So this is Fedora 20.04, or excuse me, this is Ubuntu 20.04. And let me bring that up full screen. And so I just installed this before I started this video, the live stream. And so this is a new used machine. And so I picked up this Optiplex, this Dell Optiplex 7040. It has an i5 6500 in it and 8 gigs of RAM currently, and a 480 gig solid state drive. So I haven't done a lot to this. My goal with this particular machine, it's Ubuntu was something I had handy on a USB drive to install from, and so that's what I dumped on here first. The goal that I've got for this particular machine is that I'm going to be using it to hopefully switch out this aging Mac Mini and be able to do some more things. So well, that's interesting. All right. So that's very interesting. This is something I have not seen before. What happened? Okay, so it must be something with Terminator, which this is the first time I'm playing with Terminator. So for whatever reason, Terminator doesn't want me to run things as super user. So anyways, the point I'm trying to get at is that my Mac Mini is getting long in the tooth. The Mac Mini does have an i7 in it, but it's a third generation Intel mobile part, because that's what Apple likes to put in their smaller machines, is mobile processors. So this machine, the Mac Mini, was built in 2012, late 2012. So, it's getting a little long in the tooth. And, with the chip shortage and scalpers and pricing through the roof on new parts, I thought, let's check eBay and see if there's something I could get for a song and a dance, and, maybe add a few parts to it and get a few years out of it and get through this, shortage of parts and, do something with it. Very nice, Carlos. So this is this box that I got today is a Dell 7040 with an i5 6500. I had a solid state drive because it did not come with one. And so I got the machine, and it's only got 8 gigs of RAM, but this will take up to 64. And I got the machine for like $135. So it's one of those things. If I can find an i7 6600K, I may very well be updating the processor in here and get a few more cores out of the deal. But the last few years, I've been becoming more of a fan of trying to keep usable computers from the recycling bin or ending up in a landfill in some third world country. And so, since I run a lot of Linux and I don't rely on Windows, these older Dell machines make really great Linux boxes. Now, I wish I would have held out just a little while longer for a mid tower so I could put a full-size graphics card in it. Because right now I'm just doing Intel integrated graphics. But compared to the Mac Mini, and the Mac Mini actually has double the RAM and a larger solid state, and 4 additional cores. Well, it's got 4 cores and hyper-threading. This Optiplex is actually holding its own pretty decent. So I'm pretty happy with that so far. I have not loaded much of anything because I just did a fresh install of Ubuntu just prior to starting the live stream. So this is pretty fresh. And my goal, getting back to the original point, my goal is to start moving the production of my videos over to the Optiplex. Do everything from recording to editing, the whole 9 yards on Ubuntu, and see just how much of my workflow I can get moved over. My ultimate goal, once pricing comes into line a little bit, is to build a Ryzen box. But at the moment, that's not really in the cards. So, I just I wanted a little bit of an upgrade, and this was sort of the price point I could swing because I'm kind of in the middle of doing some audio upgrades for the channel, and that part is going to arrive tomorrow. Probably won't make a lot of difference on the live streams, but it's going to drastically improve my sound quality on my recorded videos. So I have coming from Amazon an SE Electronics DM1 Dynamite, which is an inline XLR preamp for dynamic mics, and that is going to give me about 28 decibel of low noise boost, and that's going to make a huge difference because unless I pull this mic right to my face and basically eat it, my levels tend to be a little on the low side. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've got planned at the moment. So, okay, over here on Ubuntu, what do we have? So, yeah, Good Old Games is experimental. It's installing a wine-based Windows environment or faux Windows environment. And yeah, I figured we might as well have a stab at this. So let's see. Last month I purchased a Lenovo ThinkCentre M700. Ended up installing TrueNAS. Did have to purchase a 256 gig solid state and installed the Plex plugin for $450 total. Not bad at all. Let's see. I have max volume set to 50 on Windows. YouTube is at 100. I hear you clear. I'm using a Pro X headset though. That's probably why. I have been playing with adjusting the adjusting levels on this current mic. But I ordered the DM1 Dynamite to give a boost because once I had some of the filters and different things in OBS, you know, I was not happy with my levels for the recorded videos. So I'm hoping down the road in a couple of months, I'm going to be getting a Shure SM7B broadcast mic, and all the reviews that I've read have basically concluded that you need some sort of a booster, whether the Dynamite or a Cloud Lifter or a Clark Technic CL1, I think is the model number on that, if you can find one. But yeah, so this is all sort of in preparation for getting that microphone, because that's like a $400 microphone. And yeah, I'm still exploring options. I'm not sure I want to part with that much money for a microphone quite at the moment. So anyways, see what this game store decides to do here. Oh, of course you got to log in. No, we will do this later. So they've got a library of games, community, can create an account. No, I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so that's installed at least. Not sure what else to look at on this. Yeah, there's so much stuff on the app store, the software store in Ubuntu that's not even funny. 7 Kingdoms. I don't even know what some of these games are. I'm not a big gamer. I will be the first to admit. Let's see. Have you checked any HyperX mic, like the Quadcast? Or are you going full mid-pro on audio? Yeah, I'm going mid-pro on audio. I've got a Behringer, what is it? It's the UMC 202 HD audio interface. I've currently got a Samson Q2U mic that I'm using, dynamic mic. And you know, the Shure SM7B is supposed to be like the gold standard. It's actually the mic used by, I think, is it Seth Rogen? It was the mic used by Michael Jackson for the Thriller album. You know, there have been a lot of YouTubers that have used the SM7B. And I don't necessarily want to keep throwing money at, you know, varying priced mics if I can just shoot at the Shure and, you know, be one and done on getting something that works. Let's see, HyperX mic. Yeah, I think those are USB, most of them, it looks like. Okay, fine. Everybody's got pop-ups these days. Let's see, microphones. SoloCast, it's a USB mic. For streamers, content creators, and gamers. Yeah, so the other reason I don't want to go back to a condenser mic, which is actually what I started with years ago, is a USB condenser mic, another Samson product, is that dynamic mics tend to reject more of the side noise, whereas condenser mics pick up a lot of room noise, noise from fans on computers, air conditioners, etc. So, you know, I'm just trying to continue to step up the game on the audio, because I know it's going to be a while before I can afford to purchase camera equipment, because that stuff's where the real expense is. I mean, you can buy $1,000 microphones, but you know, good quality cameras, you're looking at least $600 easy. However, I might just try updating upgrading to a better webcam in the short term, again with the price gouging going on at the moment. I guess my point being is I'm not completely sold on buying new equipment, brand new equipment, for a lot of things until we get past COVID and some of the pricing starts to stabilize, because it's a little on the crazy side for some of things right now that I've looked at. So anyways, we're up to four people in the live stream, which actually is pretty amazing since I didn't really promote this really at all. I just on a whim decided that, hey, let's do a live stream after work tonight, and here I am. All right, so we looked at games. Let's see, what else do we have on here? I have installed, I think, a few things on here. I've installed Audacity for audio editing. because who knows, I may add just a strictly audio podcast to my offerings later in the year, and maybe focus on just doing the news items in the audio podcast and make that like bi-weekly or something. Wow, Apple Music is in the software store. That kind of surprises me. All right, so what else do we have? Looked at games. Let's go in personalization. Why not? So anybody else out there watching, welcome. If you haven't been to one of my live streams before, welcome. Feel free to join the chat. You can keep Carlos company and join the conversation. It's always nice to get more of my community talking to each other as well as to me. We tend to be a pretty nice bunch around here, from the ones that have actually had conversations with me in the chat. So the more the merrier. Let's see. We are at 9:11 Eastern Daylight Time. I figure I'll go until 9:30, maybe 9:45 before I call it quits for the night. I've had a little bit of a heat wave in Michigan today, so it's a little warm in my apartment. So sitting here under the lighting, even though it is LED lighting, I don't necessarily want to sit in this room with no real airflow. So between 9:30 and 9:45, I'll wrap this up, and then I'll be back here on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So, okay. So yeah, compared to what the Gnome implementation is in the current Ubuntu, or the current long-term support Ubuntu 20.04, GNOME 40 is pretty slick looking. I've not read too much about the Pipewire replacement for Pulse Audio. Of course, I haven't spent a lot of time with audio on Linux in a number of years because it has been so hit and miss. For instance, when I started it with Linux, and granted, this was back in 98, I actually had to buy sound card drivers in order to get any audio working in Linux. So I think I paid $29 or $39 for audio drivers, which are worthless today, but I guess that's neither here nor there because, at that time people were buying Windows 98 software. So can't think of too many people that are still running Windows 98 software. So your mileage may vary, but yeah. So I don't know. Let's look at development, I guess. So I will say that this software store in Ubuntu, the Snap Store, it's a little laggy. It's a little laggy, and I thought maybe it was just that I'd been playing with things in virtual machines so long that putting it on a piece of real hardware would take care of some of that, and I was wrong. I guess we can install Visual Studio Code. I haven't decided if I'm going to leave Ubuntu on here. I've contemplated using something like AV Linux, which I think is based on just straight up Debian, if I remember correctly. Okay, so that is going. So yeah, that's based on Debian. Excuse me. And so that's got, let's see, they've got OpenBox and XFCE versions of that. And that doesn't seem to want to load anything right now. So there we go. Nope. AV Linux. Well, let's go this route. AV Linux, official website. There we go. There we go. AV Linux MX edition. So yeah, that's pretty slick looking. The Die Hard desktop theme. And yeah, so I mean, there's a reason that I have standardized even on Macs and Windows boxes on open source software, because I like to be able to move pretty fluidly between platforms, and relying on proprietary software does not allow you to do that. So again, even when I was in school, I was using LibreOffice for papers. And since, professors were accepting papers in PDF format, they never knew the difference that I wasn't using Word. So I was surprised that my G Pro worked under Linux. I was sure the Pro X wired would work, but my wireless was a blown up. Yeah, so wireless can be pretty hit and miss on Linux. So I have pretty much standardized on network adapters by Alpha Networks. And I've had this guy here and a couple of these, and I've got some of their smaller, newer, like AC units now. But almost all of their stuff, this guy right here is the one I got most recently. So the reason I like their stuff is that you can plug it in and it will just work on Windows and Linux. And prior to version 10.15 of macOS, they worked on macOS as well. So starting in 10.15, Apple made some pretty significant changes, of course, with their push towards their M series chips, their ARM-based M series chips. They've made some changes to the OS as well, and some of that was dropping some hardware support for things that they previously supported. So, it's one of those things. I'm not so worried about the Macs. There could be drivers that I could get my hands on. I haven't looked into it that deeply. It hasn't been a high priority for me. All of the Macs I've got, the two that I've bought, plus the one that was a hand-me-down. They've all got AC wireless cards in them anyways. And so, it's really been sort of a non-issue. Mostly it's a matter of just having some adapters available. Since I do run a computer consulting business, if I have to supply a client with a loaner machine, some of my loaner machines run Linux, and I like to take them a wireless adapter that'll work, because there are a lot of Wi-Fi adapters that do not play nice with Linux. So, I don't know. I'm a little picky about some of my choices with hardware, and I guess being picky has paid off for me in a lot of ways, because I don't have a lot of the problems that I see a lot of other people having. So, for instance, I've long since standardized on Brother printers. So, it's been 20 years since I've had a printer issue on Linux. Carlos, I purchased that Wi-Fi adapter from Amazon. I have flip-flopped back and forth between buying from Amazon and buying from, oh my gosh, Data Alliance, which is based out of Chicago, Illinois. And this company is actually I think they're the U.S. distributor, not this Data Alliance. Let's see. I think they're the national distributor. That's the one, for Alpha products in the U.S. But they have been great to deal with. They've been great about answering questions. And the only reason I bought some Alpha products on Amazon over Data Alliance is simply because I was in a rush to get something, and Amazon can get it here to me 2 to 3 days faster than Data Alliance can. All other things, I mean, are pretty much the same. I've got free shipping on Amazon. I'd have to pay for shipping with Data Alliance. It's one of those things. I still feel that Data Alliance is a great company, and I've purchased several products from them over the years. And just the sheer number of things that they sell and support is pretty amazing. So, yeah, I'm not sure who your best supplier would be outside of the US. So, that's something that I don't really have a lot of experience with, since I've always lived in the US. So, unfortunately, I can't help there, but I can recommend the product line. But as far as a distributor and or a retailer to get you the actual product, I'm a bit at a loss. So, all right, what we're at 9:25. on a Wednesday night. I think we'll go for 5 more minutes and I'll wrap this up. It is feeling a little on the warm side back here in the office tonight. So I'm going to crack some windows and let the apartment cool down a little bit. And hopefully I will have some decent sleeping weather tonight. I always tend to sleep a little better when it's a little cool in the bedroom. So hopefully I can cool this down and just relax a little bit tonight. So Carlos, do you have any other questions or anything else that you want to see in? I mean, I can fire up Fedora 34 beta again if there's something else special you wanted to see in Gnome 40. But otherwise, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I didn't have, a big plan for tonight's live stream. This was in part to see if anybody would show up, honestly. And because I saw that GNOME 40 was released today, so I wanted to kind of jump on the bandwagon and do something for that. It's not often that I get to do a live stream or a recorded video the day a new piece of software comes out. And so, yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at the moment. And hopefully I showed people something new tonight. Maybe. I'm going to keep playing around with this new used Optiplex that I got my hands on today, and see what kind of configuration I end up putting that thing in. I will likely be adding a M.2 NVMe drive for the boot drive at some point in the future, and bumping the RAM from 8 to probably 32 gigs of RAM. And maybe I will think about adding a small one of the half height graphics cards into this machine as well. But I've come this far with the YouTube channel using Intel integrated graphics. So what's another year? It'll be a little bit faster on the 6500 than it was on the Mac processor, which, shoot, that is system report. What do we have in here? Yeah, just says quad core i7. Gotta find out here shortly. And this is Mac Mini 6.2. So that was a 2.6 gigahertz. 3720. So yeah, jumping from a 3720 to a 6500, even though it's an i5, not the worst jump in the world. I'd still rather have a Ryzen machine, but it's not the way the cookie is crumbling right at the moment. So I will continue playing with this and adding pieces and parts to it a little bit at a time and see what happens. I'm excited to have the machine and have a machine that I can put more than 16 gigs of RAM in, because that's been one of my limitations on almost all the machines I've got. I think almost all of my machines are pretty much maxed at 16, and yeah, with the 6500, even if I were to be able to find a steal on a Ryzen machine, I could put Proxmox on this thing and run VMs and containers on it, and it would still be a useful machine. So on that note, thank you everybody for coming out. Again, I've got a live stream every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. That goes for about 90 minutes. Don't quite have my topic picked out for this coming Sunday, but that will probably be picked out and have the thumbnail updated for that tomorrow. And so, yeah, we made it an hour tonight. So just to close things out, thank you for coming. Stay safe out there. Protect yourselves and your loved ones. Do what you need to do to stay safe. I don't want to say much more than that, because at least here in the U.S. it's turned into a political nightmare. But stay safe. Think about your neighbor and your family members as well as yourself. And happy computing. Have a good day tomorrow, and every day above ground and breathing is a good day. So on that note, thanks again for coming, everybody, and I will see you in the next live stream. Have a good night.